The Rockefellers haven't had a retirement problem in over 100 years. Not one member of that family has ever had to worry about running out of money at an old age. And it's not because they're rich, it's because they use a specific financial structure that most people have never heard of. And there's a reason for that, right? So while most people that are in the middle class, they're maxing out their 401ks, they're crossing their fingers and just hoping the market doesn't crash when they do retire, wealthy families, on the other hand, have a completely different system. It's not stock, it's not crypto, it's not even real estate. It's what I like to call a family bank. And combined with the right trust structure, it makes your money work for every generation that comes after you. So today, I'm going to break down exactly what that system looks like, how the ultra wealthy have been using it in plain sight for decades, and most importantly, how you can start building your own version of it, even if you're not a millionaire just yet. So stick with me, because this is a video that I wish somebody would have shown to me 10 years ago. So what even is a family bank? A family bank is not a literal bank, right? So you're not opening up a Chase branch in the city that you lived in. A family bank is a pool of capital that's controlled by a family. So typically inside a permanent life insurance structure that I like to call infinite banking, or it's inside a family trust that family members can borrow from. That money or those assets grows tax-free, then you can pass it down to the next generation tax-free as well. So think of it like this: every dollar that you put into your traditional 401k or IRA, that money's locked up, right? You can't access it until you're 60 years old without penalties. Then when you do finally retire, you're finally taking money out, you're spending it, and the moment that you pass away, whatever is left gets taxed and split up. So most of that wealth rarely makes it to the third generation. Now, the crazy thing is the IRS actually has a name for this pattern. It's called shirtless sleeves to shirtless sleeves in 3 generations, right? So the first generation builds the wealth, the second generation maintains it, and the third generation loses it. And that's the default plan that most families have. But the Rockefellers, they broke that cycle, as did the Waltons, and then the Mars family did as well. And they stopped thinking about retirement as a personal finish line and started thinking about it as a family system. So let me start by giving you the best example that I know, right? So John D. Rockefeller, the richest private citizen in all of US history, which will most likely change to Elon Musk in a few years, but that's besides the point. Anyway, John D. Rockefeller, he didn't just build wealth, he architected his wealth. And he set up a series of trusts that would hold, protect, and grow family assets across multiple generations. And the family has been operating off of this structure since the late 1800s. And they're still one of the wealthiest families on the planet today. So here's the part that nobody talks about. The Rockefeller family literally loans money to its own members. A young Rockefeller who wants to start a business doesn't go to Bank of America. They go to the family bank. They borrow capital at a low interest rate. They build that business, and then they pay the loan back with interest. So it goes back into the family pool. So the family wealth, it doesn't just get replenished, it keeps growing from within tax-free. Now contrast that to what most families do, right? And dad, he retires, he pulls money out of his 401k, he pays taxes on every dollar that he pulls out. The market dips, he panics, and then he passes away and leaves a little money to his kids, who spend it because nobody taught them how to manage the inheritance that they received, and then the money's gone in 1 generation. And the main difference here is the Rockefellers, they had a system. The other family, they just had a savings account. One family was thinking long term, and the other family was just thinking months ahead. And what's most crazy about this story is the tools that the Rockefellers use, like trusts, permanent life insurance, as a banking vehicle, family LLCs, These are all legal, they're all available, and they're accessible to anybody who's willing to learn how to use them. So how do you actually start? And I'm going to give you the 3-step blueprint. And step number 1 is you fund the bank using a permanent life insurance as a foundation, right? So the vehicle most families use as the foundation of their family bank is a properly structured permanent life insurance policy. Specifically one designed for infinite banking. Unlike term life insurance, permanent life insurance builds a cash value, and that cash value grows tax deferred. You can borrow against it at any time for whatever reason. There's no credit check, there's no IRS penalties, and there's no market volatility. And no, this isn't like the life insurance that you typically see on commercials when you turn on your TV. When it's set up correctly, it functions like your own personal bank, right? So you put money in, it grows tax-free, you borrow from it whenever you need to fund investments, maybe even emergencies, and then you repay yourself. That policy stays intact, and the death benefit usually passes to your kids completely tax-free. So that's Rockefeller 101. That is step number 1. Step 2 is protecting your bank by setting up a trust. See, once you start building cash value and you have assets, you need to protect them using a revocable living trust at the bare minimum, right? So this keeps your estate out of probate, meaning when you pass away, your assets go directly to your family without a judge or an attorney taking 3 to 5% of your estate. And this avoids a 12 to 18 month delay. So for more advanced protection, wealthy families use a irrevocable trust like a Dynasty Trust, which can hold assets for multiple generations while protecting them from lawsuits, divorces, creditors. The Rockefellers use a Dynasty Trust, and so do the Wall. So you don't need to be a billionaire to set one up. A basic trust can be established from anywhere between a few $100s to $2,000 with the right estate planning attorney. So the cost of not having one in place could cost you your entire estate. Step 3 is to teach the system to your kids by building a culture around wealth. So this is the step that nobody talks about, and it's the most important step. The Rockefellers, they didn't just set up legal structures, they held family meetings. See, they educated their children on how the family bank worked, and they created a family mission statement around wealth. Because at the end of the day, a trust with no education is just a trust. A family bank with no culture is just an account that gets drained. The real secret weapon of generational wealth is intentional financial education passed from parent to child. And you can start this right now, tonight. You can literally sit your kids down and explain to them what every dollar is doing. You can teach them the difference between an asset and a liability. You can even show them this video, and then you want to start the conversation, because that conversation is worth more than any investment that you'll ever make. So now you know about the family bank, you know about the trust structure, you know about the culture of wealth that actually makes generational money last. So here's what you can do right now. Drop a 1 in the comments if you're going to do some research on infinite banking this week, and drop a 2 if you already have a trust set up. That way I can see where you guys are at. And if this video gave you some new game you've never heard of before, share it with someone who needs to hear it, because this is the type of information that changes families forever.